I've just made up a little mitered section, with the aim being I can get right to the top of the architrave and slide it down, and it will just sit in there if I've measured right. I might not have measured right by the look of that, but we'll see.
Right, I guess it's been a while since our last auction flurry, but the last sale I had some steps. I've taken a gamble because I had no idea how tall they were. I just assumed that the treads were going to be about, or the risers, we don't have any risers, does it? But they would be around 200 mil, and therefore it might be 800 to the platform. Ah, rubbish. This is kind of a temporary solution to make things safe while we wait to do some sort of deck. Because at the moment it's a bit dodgy. Trouble is, if I try and cut some of the leg off, our bottom step will be shorter than the rest. We all know what happens when that is the situation. We all trip over. Kind of hooked it in there. Right, I think we're going to get it through. Not quite sure I'm going to put it down yet. So this had two handrails either side, and you would go straight up to the door, but the left-hand handrail was kind of snapped anyway, and I unbolted it. I've had to bring it with me, but I've unbolted it. So I'm actually going to put some new handrails and some siding on it, so some sides on it, because I ideally want to come up and then turn left in. There's some holes here from something else, I guess, where it's bolted onto a platform. So I can use those and put a post in each corner, a timber post bolted in. Can't really use it yet to test it. That's off a couple of legs. So it's definitely a short-term solution, but it's much safer than it was, albeit it hasn't got the sides on it yet. As you can see in the background here, I've put a bit of bracing side to side, and I probably will go ahead and cut down or cut off that lower step, and then that way it should sit below the door sill. So that all happened last week, so we're back to present day now. I'm going to give you a bit of an update on what we've been up to this week, and as you may know, it is all hands on deck to get this place finished in, well, the next 7 days. So join me now and I'll show you where we are.
It's coming out.
You coming out? You might want to stand up because we're going to have to move as we squeeze. All good? You tip it up. Don't get sticky bits on your fingers. Okay, now push it in so there's no gaps. Push really hard. It's looking good. All good your end?
No.
Needs to go in a bit, is it?
Yeah.
I'll come and do it. Right, I've worked my way around the hallway now. I've just got this one little awkward bit between two architraves and in a corner. And rather than trying to get a piece in and then drop another piece in, I've just made up a little mitered section. With the aim being I can get right to the top of the architrave and slide it down, and it will just sit in there if I've measured right. I might not have measured right by the look of that, but we'll see. Bit of TLC and I think that'll paint up just fine. Another day, another load of second fix and snagging and painting and all sorts. So we managed to get, just before we left last night, we managed to get the last bit of skirting board done in the end bedroom here. So that's done. Joe filled, I've caulked. We're going to have half an hour break, going to have a cup of tea, then we'll come back, do a little bit more prep, and then this room will be painted. Hallway needs to be caulked up. The gaps are pretty good, but it just needs a little bit. And that's all done, that's all done, that's all done. So I think the aim, if we can, is to get all of this done before lunch, all the prep, and then we can clear down basically all these bedrooms, leave Joe to carry on painting, and then I'm going to switch my attention to potentially getting the plumbing done. We have our boiler going in on Thursday. Well, I say boiler, all it is just a water heater. This is it here. It's a room sealed unit, so I'm hoping that will sit up there within this cupboard. And the flue is a horizontal flue which goes out, obviously, horizontally. And the guy's coming to fit this on Thursday, which just means I need to do a little bit more. I've got the cold supply coming up, but I need to now link in all the hot feeds going off to all the various rooms. I need to get the soil pipe run out, and then the septic tank, or the sewage treatment plant, is also here, which should, if I've measured correctly, slide underneath and along the side just below these windows. Doors are all here. Robin sent one of his jigs. I think that's arrived in the post this morning, so I need to go and check the post box. And if it has, then there's no reason why we can't get on that this week as well. Okay, we've had a good go at clearing up this entrance area. It's not quite a hall, but not quite a lobby. I don't know what it is, but we're going to have no we're not. We're going to have shoe racks along this side, somewhere for the dog to tuck away when she's muddy, and a bit of a sideboard. But basically, this is ready for us to now trim out. Need a bit of a door lining to go in here, so then I can put a bit of trim and architrave around it to then bring the skirting boards off that. So we're going to have to hold on that for now, because I'll need to get the table saw out to rip that down. Instead, we're going to do curtain rails, which are more exciting than they sound. We've actually done one of these already, so this should be smooth running. We can measure off the ceiling at exactly the same distance like we did the other side, so they match, same curtains, and it's quite a cool design. I kind of alluded to this in another video which we've been shooting, which is the style of these curtain poles. I hadn't come across. Joe liked the idea of them. I thought they were a really pants idea, but they're actually very clever. So
I love hearing him say that.
1-0 to Joe. But they don't have a standard sort of finial on the end. They are just a pole that follows in. But there's a good reason for that, and you'll see once the curtains go up.
Which one is it?
We got curtains in this room from Dunham Mill, mainly because we were looking for
Next day delivery. Not
two different sizes, because we had the floor to door and this, and we love them. The only issue I have with them is that they're not thermal or blackout. I mean, they're black enough because they're dark. But if you're looking for ways to save on heating, thermal is the way forward. We got most of our other curtains in the other bedrooms from Vinted. It's quite handy for second hand, and we got them for like £5 each. So that was a little tip.
Yeah, that's a good point. We could have got away with the next. Was it the next size down?
Yeah.
But to get that one, to use that one, we'd have had to use it fully extended, which just means it's a little bit weaker.
Sturdy, and it was slightly bigger diameter.
Yeah.
So it will match the one above the door.
Right, you get that hand, and I'll get this in. So because you don't have like a finial or a join or anything that you can undo to slide it on, you slide it on before you fit the pole, if that makes sense. It does make sense, doesn't it? You slide it on and then we fit it on, so it's a bit of a two-person job. Fortunately, we've got 2 people. Exhibit A.
I'm actually exhibit B, aren't I?
Come on,
No.
feel the burn.
Okay, I got it.
Oh, hook it back on then. Push it on the socket. Oh, okay. Got it.
You're gonna need to push the screw in.
Yeah, it's fine. No, we've got to put both curtains on. That's for the other side.
Oh yeah.
Did you do it the right way?
Yeah. Right. Okay. Let's push it all the way across.
You didn't. You missed the last. You missed the last few. Yeah, I think you're right. One done.
Ready.
You probably could have guessed, but the way that these work is it holds the curtain tighter against the wall, and you put a little screw in the top to hold the last ring. That way you don't get a load of light spill coming in through the side, so it's quite handy for the bedrooms and things like that. If I can find the grub screw. And the other plus is when it comes back and it's pulled, it kind of sits flat against the wall like that. So you don't actually need that whole bunching thing unless you wanted it, I guess.
Now, there were a few of you in the last video who were wondering what on earth we're doing fitting curtains when we hadn't even got our first fixed plumbing done. And you'd be right to ask that, but at the end of the day, we're just trying to do jobs that are easy to do, things that need to get done, and in between waiting for other materials or labour. So things like the boiler, I've pretty much gone as far as I can until that's fitted. And then again, things like the actual waste pipes, I was really waiting until that sewage treatment plant was in place, and now I can work back from it. Because everything can be done underneath the cabin very easily, there was no real rush to guess exactly where we wanted everything months ago. So that's why I left it pretty open for the first fix for the plumbing. Obviously, we got the electrics in on an early day, really early. So that was great. But as far as the plumbing goes, there was no real rush to do that. And I think we're probably about a day off having all of that sorted. And then we'll be able to start fitting sinks and baths and showers and all that sort of good stuff. Now, whilst all that's going on, we're also busy keeping on top of this lot. And remember, we have a deadline for the cabin, and that is dictated by this fluffy bunch, who are merely days away now from spitting out lambs. So we are kind of keeping an eye out the window whilst also doing what we're doing in the cabin. And in the next few days, they'll be coming in, and hopefully we'll be able to sit in here in the warm, making a cup of tea, rather than lying out on straw bales at -4 like we had to do last time. So if you want to keep an eye on both sides of the story, then make sure you head over to DIY Farm. You can subscribe there, and there'll be pretty regular videos going up there as well as on the cabin. Next video is going to be that bedroom. Can we do it in a day? Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.